Assalamu alaikum and welcome to all my very dear and superb student of class 7. Here I am your teacher Miss Hina Shakil and we are studying in this DLP social studies. So hope you all are fine and fit and doing good. May Allah bless you with good health and prosperous life. Ameen. Recap of the chapter. In our physical class, we have learned about economic development and social development, that economic development is a measure of a country's wealth and how it is generated, and social development is a measure of the access of the population. Population means the people to the wealth, jobs, education, nutrition, health, and safety. In figure 3.1 and 3.2 on page number 25 and 26, we can see the interrelationship between economic and social development, that how economic development is important for the social development and how social development is important for the economic development of any country. Then we have learned about the importance of human resources, that not any of our industry can run without all three types, means skilled, semi skilled, and unskilled labor. And then we learned about the decisions about the development and government development plans or the programs, that any government who have come to rule, they have to make the 5-year plan. So that's all the recap of our running chapter number 3, development. Now we will start our new topics, developed and developing countries, from page number 27.
Unit number 4 Quran and Ahadith. Chapter number 2 Ahadith and Nabwi. From our textbook Islamic Studies for Grade 7.
In our today's DLP, we are continuing our chapter 3, development, from page number 27 till 30, in which we will learn about the developed and developing countries, then development in Saudi Arabia and development in Pakistan, from which we will learn about the agriculture and the irrigation. So hurry and grab your books, course book, social studies for today 3. Developed and developing countries. How can we differ developing and developed countries? Do you ever think about Pakistan, from which zone Pakistan is belonged, either developed or developing? So, to get the answer of this, we have to judge some points, like, has our country owned the different types of resources? Are these resources sufficient for our people, and may we export them to gain wealth from it? How do we consume these resources? For example, if our country has sufficient amount of minerals, but there are no human resources to do work for mining it, so how can we get benefit from these types of minerals? So we also need efficient and hard working laborers who can use these resources to create wealth. To make the better decisions about these resources, we need professionals. And how can we get rid of corruption in every step of development? So, these are the points which vary from country to country as the aspect of implementation. So, these variations result in some countries becoming richer than others. These countries that have succeeded in producing more wealth and have spent it on the social development are described as the developed countries, while Poorer countries which have lower levels of social development are described as the developing countries. So, Pakistan is also in the zone of developing country. Okay, students? How do we measure the levels of development of countries? GDP. GDP means gross domestic product. This is the one way to measure the levels of development of any country. Actually, GDP is the total value of everything produced within a country's border. Some countries have a big GDP only because of their large population. GDP per capita is the best way to compare GDP between countries because it divides the GDP by the number of residents and measures the country's standard of living. GDP impacts personal finance, investment, and job growth. To get a better idea of countries' wealth, we need to divide their GDPs by their total population. This gives us the GDP per head of the population, that is per person. Tables in some books refer to GDP per capita, and uh, capita means per head. Okay? Figure 3.3 on page number 27 shows the high income countries, middle income countries, and low income countries of the world. So we can see mostly low income countries are located in Africa and South Asia and Yemen, while middle income countries are located in the South America, some of the countries of Africa, and Arab countries, and the Europe and Russia are included in the middle income countries, while Japan, Indonesia are also included in the middle income countries. While if we see on the high income countries, so we can see that Canada and North America and Oceania are included in the high income countries. Now turn the page and see figure 3.4, in which we can see 7 indicators of development in 10 selected countries. The countries are Bangladesh, Brazil, China, India, Iran, Malaysia, Nigeria, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Singapore. And we can see the 7 indicators named as GDP per head, US dollar. Okay, percent with access to safe water, percent of adults who can read means the literacy rate of the country, number of persons per doctor means which countries has how many doctors, rate of infant mortality means the death rate of infants per thousand live births, life expectancy in years, and persons per telephone, that how much persons has their telephone or their own mobiles. So these are the 7 indicators of development in these 10 selected countries, and you can see that the least one which has these all indicators is the Bangladesh, and Pakistan is on number 8. Indicators of development. Can you think of other aspects of social development that can be measured? But other aspects of life, such as happiness, honesty, reliability, care of the environment, and care of people in the community, are difficult or impossible to measure. Yet, they also contribute to the quality of life of the population. Different countries has different levels of development. For each country, it gives the GDP per head. Other aspects of life also affected on the people's standard of living. Like it is not necessary that nowadays people has only the mobile phones. We can assume that the number of people with access to internet, the food intake, that which type of foods the people intake in their life. So these are the other aspects we can visualize. There is the picture of causes of global inequalities, in which you can see the inequality in water supply, the drinking water is not available, the poor farming land, child workers, unstable government, an economy based on primary product, lots of natural hazards. So these are the causes for the global inequalities. Levels of development. We have seen that different countries have different levels of development. There are also variation in the levels of development within Pakistan. This is also the case within countries. Even the most developed and rich countries have areas in them in which there is poverty. Similarly, in poorer developing countries, some of the people are rich and have a better quality of life than most of the population. Why is it so? Because of their education, because of their job, they earn different money from the different people. So they have different standard of living. Development in Saudi Arabia. There are also the different levels of development within the Saudi Arabia, because mostly people are rich there, but some of the people are poor there too. Mostly the Saudis are rich because of their oil fields. They gain their wealth by their oil fields. If you question about the Saudi Arabia development, so the fueled by enormous revenues from their oil exports. The economy boomed during the 1970s and 80s. Unlike most developing countries, Saudi Arabia had an abundance of capital, and vast development projects sprung up that turned the once underdeveloped country into a modern state. Now, the question is Saudi Arabia developed or developing? So, according to the definition of International Monetary Fund, it is the organization which gave the funds to the developing country. It is also known as IMF. Saudi Arabia is one of the developing countries because of its lower economic performance, because there are two less industries over there. With an Human Development Index HDI of 0.857, Saudi Arabia counts as one of the high development economies of by the UN definition, because it gains very much wealth from their oil fields. Saudi Arabia possesses around 17% of the world's proven petroleum reserves. The oil and gas sector accounts for about 50% of GDP and about 70% of exports earnings. Apart from petroleum, the kingdom's other natural resources include natural gas, iron ore, gold, and copper, which creates the wealth for their country. The major company which is run in the oil industry of Saudi Arabia is named as Aramco, with the joint of Saudi and American oil, and it is the world's biggest producer of oil, and it has built this large exhibit. You can see in figure 3.12, this is the building of Saudi Aramco exhibit. Oil was discovered in the eastern desert in the 1930s, and the country soon became an important exporter to Europe and North America. And it could then afford to import a large amount of food and became the world's third largest food importer, because the mainly the land was so deserted, so it was difficult to grow any type of crop or food over there. So Saudis has to import the food items from the other countries. Now, Saudi Arabia is doing many reforms to reduce the country's dependency on oil revenues, but many of these reforms have made some people poorer. The kingdom has ambitious plans to grow its tourism industry. It has already announced several projects, including one to build a series of resorts on about 100 miles of the Red Sea's sandy coastline. It is aiming to attract 30 million visitors a year by 2030, up from 18 million in 2016. Development in Pakistan: Economic development and agriculture. Agriculture is a fundamental part of Pakistan's economy. Pakistan's agricultural contribution to GDP is 21%. Because Pakistan mainly depend on agriculture and mostly people belong to farming. It is also an important source of foreign exchange earnings, and it also the cause for increase in growth of other sectors or the industries in Pakistan. We use our crops as the raw material to produce different types of product which we export to other countries, by which our country's foreign exchange is increased. So, the Pakistan's agriculture sector plays a central role in the economy and provides the main source of food, income, and employment to the rural population. You can see the four major crops of Pakistan in figure 3.13, 3.14 and figure 3.15 on page number 20 sorry on page number 31. There are, you can see changes in three aspects of crop production in Pakistan as shown in these figure, that for which crops did the increase in their yield give total outputs in 1995 that were more than 4 times as large as in 1965. Economic development and irrigation. As you all know that the agriculture is the backbone for the economy of Pakistan, so it can't help without um, irrigation for the agriculture fields. First of all, we have to know about the meaning of irrigation. What is meant by irrigation? It is the supply of water to land or crops to help growth, typically by means of channel. Irrigation has a long history in Pakistan. The first canals were built around 2000 BC during the ancient Indus Valley civilization. Due to the less rainfall, the development of irrigation system was started. In Pakistan, the largest irrigation system is belong to the Indus River, and it is the largest and best developed system in the world. The areas of Pakistan where over 70% of the cultivated area is irrigated are shown on the map figure 3.16. Each major irrigation canal, together with its branch and smaller canals, delivers water to its own command area. The command areas of the Indus River irrigation system have been drawn onto the satellite photo you can see on figure 3.17. The irrigation and canal system of Pakistan is regarded as best among other worldwide. It is also the largest. About three-fourths of the agricultural land of Pakistan comes under this canal system. At present, Pakistan has 3 large dams and 85 small dams in this system. These dams are controlled by 19 barrages. A total of 57 canals are included in this system. Among these, 12 are linked and other 45 are normal canals. In Pakistan, canals are the most popular means of irrigation as they supply plenty of water at very cheap rates. Farmers continue to sink tube wells even though there is a problem with many of them. Some wells have saline or salty water which affect plants' growth. Canal water is always fresh and sometimes carries a lot of silt which helps to fertilize the fields. Home assignment. Now, student, it's time to do your home assignment. You have to do question number 3 and 4 of page number 35. Do your work neat and tidy and on time. Thank you. Jazakallah khair.